Welcome, Moon Magic Super Souls. Thank you so much for joining me for this moon forecast, this lunar forecast of the coming month. And for anyone that is looking for my all zodiac sign tarot readings, they are actually available on Patreon, and I will put a link in the information box below. It's a very different platform. I'm not going to dive too much into that, but I will put a link there. Do check them out if you're wanting to have a look at the all zodiac signs readings for the coming moon month. So let's just check in on this coming moon month, the flavor of it, the overall flavor. Now, if during the end of December and the beginning of January, you felt like you're just not managing to actually get anything to kind of move forwards, get anything to actually happen in real terms, then you will be thrilled to know that the energy is very different in this next moon month. There are various things astrologically happening. On the day of the new moon in Aquarius, Uranus stations direct. Mars and Mercury are now also moving forwards. So I think we're going to see the energy, the overall energy anyway, astrologically beginning to emerge and evolve. We are also going to be passing into the Earth Festival phase of Imbolc in the Northern Hemisphere and Lammas in the Southern Hemisphere. These are Earth festivals of fertility. And whether you're in the Northern Hemisphere or the Southern Hemisphere, they are kind of turning points where it's like we need to continue to invest. Okay, so there's a definite investment, but it's investment to kind of bring in the harvest in order to embark on a new phase. So whether you are investing in something that's brand new, or you're bringing something to a completion, or you are continuing to invest in your manifestations in things that are kind of like work in progress, I do think during this moon month, the energy is really favoring our ability to continue to invest. And I think we're going to see steady progress. There will be definite moments when it's valuable to pause and review and check in so that our actions are very conscious. But I do think we are going to start to see some real results. So let's bring up onto your screen the cards and the runes that were drawn for the month of February in the Manifest with the Moon Astro-Moon diary. So for me, these are so interesting because Nathus, the rune of constraint with the card of Bless Your Past, is in itself creating a turning point. Nathus constraint suggests that something that hasn't been moving forwards can be moved forwards, but that we need to pay attention to the detail. It's kind of like when fishermen can't go to sea, they mend their nets. Bless Your Past is actually a card that gives you a tool to actively be able to let go of a connection to the past that's still holding you back. Open yourself to possibility, along with the rune of Kano, openings, is exactly honoring a turning point where we recognize that pretty much all of us inevitably have something within us that will hold us back at some point or another. And this is a time where the universe is going to be opening doorways of potential so that we, and providing we ourselves are open to seeing those doorways of potential and actively working with the universe, we can begin to move things forwards. In tribal law, this is the first moon month of 2023. It's the first moon month of the year. We're connecting with the energy and the life lessons of Talks with Relations. Talks with Relations really teaches us that we are interconnected. We're in relationship with all of life all of the time. So it's very much about actively working with the universe, but in a very real way, working with the signs, the signals, the synchronicities, asking for help if we need it, and recognizing that the universe will deliver if we are open to receive. In Celtic law, tree law, we're working with the energy of birch, which is all about focusing on new beginnings, a new phase of life. So whether we're in the Southern Hemisphere and we're bringing in the harvest and beginning to move towards a more reflective period where we're still active, but more sort of internally, and yet there's still work to be done to bring that harvest in, or we're in the Northern Hemisphere where we're beginning to take the actions needed to move things forwards to initiate a new harvest, Either way, we are at a turning point of fertility and new beginnings, where we are invited to become an active participant in making our manifestations, our dreams, our hopes, our desires possible in real terms. And energetically, astrologically, everything this month is aligning in the moon months to give us those windows of opportunity and to create those possibilities and potentials for us. I'm finding it really quite exciting, and the readings were extremely interesting in terms of this particular dynamic for all the signs. So what I'm going to do now is give you a rundown of the entire moon cycle, each of the different phases. You might want to press the pause button, grab a pen and paper, or if you're using a moon diary or moon journal, you might want to grab those so that you can make some detailed notes along the way, just to give yourself a little nudge or the heads up as you travel through the month. And the purpose of this is so that you have the full flavor of the incoming energy to help you to know when to be investing in moving forwards, when to be investing in reviewing, reflecting, and to be fully aware of the incoming energy throughout the moon month. So every new moon cycle begins with the new moon. This is a super new moon in Aquarius, and depending on where you are in the world, it will be January the 21st or January the 22nd. I'm just going to bring up the timings so you can have a little look at wherever that is for you, depending on your positioning on our beautiful planet. I'll bring them back onto the screen again in a moment when we talk about the setting of new moon wishes and intentions. The energy of an Aquarius new moon is absolutely perfect in setting wishes and intentions that hold a higher vision for humanity. So it's really relevant to think about your calling, your purpose, and because of talks with relations, our interconnectedness with life, how you yourself and your own purpose, your own calling, the way that you live your life fits into the bigger picture. Now, this is also the moon of lunar imbolc in the Northern Hemisphere. Imbolc and Lammas in the Southern Hemisphere technically are on the 1st of February, but this is the lunar moon, the lunar imbolc moon. It's the new moon that is associated with this festival of fertility. So get to it and use the energy of this new moon to make wishes that support and enhance your vision for the coming year, and start as well to get really specific about the details. This is a really fabulous new moon to create things like vision boards and mind maps. And in any areas of your life that are already feeling on track, just lean into a space of excited anticipation. You know, load your wishes and your manifestations with that kind of emotional energy of positivity. Align your desires with a purpose that stretches way beyond your immediate needs, and dare to dream big. If, however, there's anything that's uncertain, or you're just not sure, or you're apprehensive about anything that's going on in your world at the moment, or if there's anything that's pushing you to evaluate and restructure, then try and empty your mind of preconceptions, and then lean into the higher energy of potential possibility associated with contribution and service, and then set wishes that ask for illumination and guidance, and for clarity as to the way forwards, for doorways basically to open for you. I personally always set my new moon wishes and intentions from the exact moment, and as close to it as I possibly can, at the exact moment of the new moon, the exact timing. This is when the moon and the sun literally come together. It's like a sacred marriage, and a moment of a massive surge of creativity, of creative energy. And it's traditionally thought that at any time from that point and through the following 8 hours, that is the best and most powerful time to set wishes and intentions. So I'm just bringing up on the screen those timings again for you. We then move into the waxing crescent moon phase. The moon is starting now to get bigger. It's kind of like you've set your wishes, you've set your intentions, and now we're coming out of the parking lot and we are starting to get going. The energy of this moon phase runs from January the 23rd through to the 27th, and the moon will pass through Aquarius, Pisces, and into Aries. The overall flow of energy in this moon phase is actually remarkably steady, suggesting a sort of consistent emergence and a consistent potential progression. So invest in your manifestations and all your actions at a very reliable kind of pace. When the moon moves into Pisces, the lunar influence is really quite dreamy. So if for any reason you have trouble holding your focus, just ease back until clarity arrives. The moon enters Pisces on January the 23rd, and there's actually a massive 7-hour void of course period between Aquarius and Pisces. A void of course period is when the moon is in between the two signs, so the energy is not being governed or influenced by either of the signs. So we're moving from Aquarius, 7-hour space, into Pisces. I've personally noticed that the void of course can affect me in two really distinct ways. If stuff is flowing in my life, it can feel really liberating, as if I'm free of any influences and I can really move things forwards. If I am facing difficulties and there's just stuff going on, it can feel quite unanchored and a bit confusing. So it's really worth being conscious of these longer periods. The first quarter moon is on January the 28th in Taurus. The first quarter moon is always a kind of a point of review. If any of you are familiar with the Celtic cross formation of the tarot cards, it's kind of like the crossing card in that layout. Today the moon will align with the karmic influences of the nodes as well. This collaboration is said to bring additional guidance to support you in finding your direction, your purpose and your calling. Taurus is very much a grounding and a doing energy. So I think this collaboration is potentially going to bring us whatever signs we need to see exactly what we need to do in order to move things forwards. And again, back to that energetic that's flowing through this moon month of windows of opportunity. This is a perfect day to be looking out for them. We then move to the Waxing Gibbous moon phase, which runs from January the 29th through to February the 4th. The moon will pass through Taurus, Gemini, Cancer and then into Leo during this phase. And on February the 1st, which is also Imbolc in the Northern Hemisphere and Lammas in the Southern Hemisphere, we have an 8-hour void of course period when the moon moves between Gemini and then into Cancer. Now for the best part of this moon phase, the energy gates are absolutely open, and of course the waxing moon is also building in strength and momentum, so the energy might feel quite full on, especially because from the 3rd of February the astrodynamics actually start to heat up and there are some quite strong spikes of lunar energy coming in. So if your manifestations are gathering momentum, then just surf the waves and let the energy move you forwards. But if you are finding yourself in your own unique circumstances, facing any form of indecision or uncertainty, I would suggest putting your anchor down and just let the current of the universe show you the way. Be guided rather than trying to force or push something. You're going to know whether the flow feels right or whether you need to just slow it down and allow the universe to literally to direct you and move you. You'll know how this affects you depending on your own unique circumstances. The full moon in Leo on either February the 5th or the 6th, depending on where you are in the world, these are the timings, is also known as wolf moon, old moon and cold moon. A full moon in Leo will naturally invite you to embrace exactly where you are right here and right now and get really, really present. There's a real flavour of celebration in a Leo full moon, celebration that allows us to acknowledge and validate how far we've come. Now, I think one of the best ways to use this energy is exactly in this way. Celebrate, but take time out to play as well and recharge your batteries, whilst also simultaneously making a note of everything that is shown to you at this time. So celebrate, shout to the world about the things that are going well, or at the very least to yourself. Do whatever you need to do to chill out simultaneously, and any areas of your world that are not satisfactory, the full moon energy is always here to help to identify things for us, to illuminate. So whether there is internal stuff going on or external situations, slow down and chill enough to become an observer of your own experiences, but do so with a positive frame of mind. Leo energy will always identify any conflict between our kind of ego stuff and the real desires of our heart. So if we're approaching the world with a positive mindset, any issues that surface just become those wonderful windows of opportunity. For anyone who's interested in using moon water, or indeed if you already do collect moon water, this is where we place either rainwater or spring water outside in a bowl and leave it to charge and absorb the energy of the full moon. We can use this moon water in ceremonies of celebration, commitment and joy, and also situations where we need to overcome restrictions or we need to be bold and adventurous and find courage. All of the Leo attributes will be embodied in your moon water. Also on February the 6th, this is GMT time, between 14:15 and 21:14, as the moon exits Leo and then moves into Virgo, we have another long 7-hour void of course period. The moon then enters what we call the disseminating moon, or the waning gibbous moon. This is running from February the 7th to the 12th, and the moon will leave Leo, move into Virgo, Libra, and then into Scorpio. I personally tend to find that when the moon is in this phase, the energy is still running quite high. There's quite a lot of momentum. It's not charged in the same way that the build up to the full moon is, where we tend to get quite emotionally charged. It's almost as if we can now consolidate that energy and start to integrate anything that we were shown at the full moon into our progressive actions. And the overall lunar influence of this moon phase really does suggest renewed motivation, the kind of motivation that springs from clarity and self-awareness. The energy is very consistent and it's really supporting steady perseverance. So take a methodical approach, but also make sure you pay attention to the details, because although this is a time definitely to move things forwards and it's definitely a time to invest, take real actions to bring your manifestations into being, it's not a time to cut corners or seek a quick fix. So with a steady focus, I think by the 11th and 12th, you may really well begin to see sudden opportunities or certain actual things appearing that are going to reinforce and validate your progress. When the moon reaches her last quarter, she will be in Scorpio, and this takes place on February the 13th. And to be honest, the overall astrodynamics that day are absolutely lovely. The energy supports a really beautiful kind of space of review, but with really constructive actions potentially to consolidate progress. And interestingly, as the day progresses, the energy does begin to heat up. So if you feel a sense of pressure to address any underlying issues that may have been previously overlooked, then just recognize that you can pause and listen. This is a day that really is inviting us all to identify what really matters and make adjustments, even tweaking or course correcting, in order to prioritize those aspects of your world that are really, really, really important, the small things as well as the big stuff. The moon then enters her balsamic phase, or her waning crescent moon phase. So this is from the last quarter, where we then move into the space of the new moon, the next new moon and a new moon cycle. This runs from February the 14th to the 18th, and the moon will pass through Sagittarius, Capricorn and into Aquarius. And we do have a 4-hour void of course period on the 16th. Now, this is when the moon is passing from Sagittarius to Capricorn. Even though 4 hours is not as big as some of the others that we've spoken about, I'm voicing it anyway, because if you have any particular planetary placements around the cusp of Sagittarius or Capricorn, this may well have an impact on you, even though it's 4 hours rather than 7 or 8. The astrodynamics during this moon phase are really, really interesting. We can sort of see a cycle of energy when the moon is collaborating with some of the other planets that firstly highlights your passions and desires, then shows you any obstacles in your way, and then brings you the opportunity to put them down and lay them to rest, which is pretty fabulous as we then move towards a new moon and a new moon month, when we can start by setting wishes and intentions all over again, because we'll be potentially free from any kind of hindrance. This flow of lunar potential begins on Valentine's Day, so place your truest desires at the very top of your list and commit to them. Between the 14th and the 18th, the lunar influence supports healing, resolution and expansion in real terms. And then on the 18th, the passions of Valentine's Day return. The same energetics come back with the potential for you to move ahead and actually manifest your desires into form. So this is a real heart-centered moon phase. It really is absolutely magical as we move towards a new moon and the opportunity to set a new series of new moon wishes and new moon intentions, with a whole moon cycle available to us to really engage in the flow of energy and manifest yet another month from a place of conscious awareness. Moon Magic Super Souls, thank you so much for joining me for this Manifest with the Moon monthly update. I am thrilled to be sharing this information with you. Tons and tons of love. Thank you so much for liking, subscribing, sharing. It really does help to support the channel. Don't forget to check out my all zodiac sign readings that work alongside the moon month. They are available on Patreon, and I will put that link in the description box for you and the comments for phone users. And of course, it is not too late to invest in a Manifest with the Moon Astro-Moon diary or journal if you'd really like to use these tools and have them at your fingertips throughout the year. Tons and tons of love to you.